Hey guys, my name is Joanna. I am a professional flutist, and let's get you guys started on the flute. Here we have it. We've got our new flute here. Now, this buckling system is probably something that a lot of you guys have seen on other types of cases, but in case this is your first time ever encountering something like this, the way you open it is you lift the bottom latch, bring down the ring, and then it's going to release. So we'll do it to the other side as well. And then I'm keeping this closed so the flute doesn't fall out. Let's get her open. There we go. I do want to warn you guys that not all of the buckles on all beginner model flute cases look like this. A lot of times what you'll see is just one big latch that goes around. So for those, you just lift those up and it'll release. When you open the case up, you're going to see that it comes in 3 pieces. All Western concert flutes come like this. So you have the head joint, the body, and the foot joint. And on the head joint, this piece here that goes against your chin is called the lip plate. And this hole here, the blow hole, is called the embouchure hole or the lip hole. Kind of depends on where you are in the world. Different places call it different things. Now, there is a 4th piece in here that I wanted to show you guys, and it is the cleaning rod. It looks like a needle because that's exactly how you use it. You thread the corner of a cleaning cloth, some sort of soft cleaning cloth. Usually flutes come with a type of gauze that you can use as a cleaning cloth. So you thread that through here, and then you can just bunch it up and then swab out your instrument after you're done playing to dry out the flute so that it's nice and dry before you put it away. But I'll show you guys how to do that when we have actually finished our little session here. Regardless of how your flute's orientation is, take a photo of it, save it somewhere safe on your phone, and then have it open on your phone just like this when you put it away, so you can put it away exactly the way it came in, and then you won't end up crushing any keys accidentally because of improper storage. All right. So now in terms of actually playing the flute, what we're going to do is we're going to start with just the head joint. We're going to get us to just know how to blow into the flute first before we put the whole thing together. All right, here we go. Let's take out the head joint. So first things first is to figure out how to actually blow into the flute. The first thing that I wanted to go over is how hard to actually blow into the flute. Contrary to what a lot of people think, you don't actually have to blow into the flute that hard. So I just came up with this because I needed to find a way to show you guys how hard to actually blow into the flute to make a sound. Now, depending on the note that you're playing, you will need to have your airspeed be slightly different, but that's not really something you guys have to worry about right when you're first starting. When you're first starting, what we're more worried about is if you're completely underblowing or if you're completely overblowing. We want to get you into a good kind of like middle ground. So I just came up with a way to show you guys on camera because I can't like blow on your hand to show you how hard to blow into the flute. That's actually usually how I show my beginner level students, or when I used to have beginner level students, that's how I showed them how to blow into the flute. I take their hand, blow on their hand, and then have them imitate it. But I can't do that with you guys. So I just came up with this. Now, it's very important, okay, that you guys hold this piece of paper the same way I am. So take any regular letter-sized piece of paper, like a very regular printer paper, okay? Don't go cardstock, none of that business, okay? Regular printer paper, just like, you know, that you have lying around, or hopefully you have it lying around, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm holding the middle of the shorter side very lightly with one hand, and I am holding the other side right in the middle as well, very lightly. So we just got to make sure that all of our controls between me and you are the same for this to work. Okay, then what we're going to do, I'm just holding it very, very lightly, very, very light. It's just enough that I'm not dropping the piece of paper. We're going to put the paper right up against our lips. Like, don't smash it all the way in, but just put it right up there, such that it's just starting to touch your lips. Now, the only reason why it's moving so much is because I'm talking. Okay, now, if we're overblowing, you're going to see the paper go way too far. It's going to go. So you don't have to blow that hard into the flute, okay? Now, underblowing would be if something like this. So you can see that it's not going anywhere. Okay, in terms of a good length away, I'll give you guys a nice uncomfortable close-up here. Okay, here we go. So it's about like this. There you have it, about that far away. So you don't want it flopping all the way over, but you also don't want it just like still touching your lips. I just realized that for those of you who are watching, who are not beginners, because I know some of you guys are watching who are not beginners, this is actually a really great breath control exercise. This is like, I'm just realizing how useful this is. Anyway, so that is how hard you blow into the flute. The next thing we need to talk about is how to focus down your airstream. So this part is the part that I teach my beginner level students by blowing on their hand. But this part I find is okay to just, verbally describe it to you guys. Okay, so we're going to take our hand and we are going to imagine that there's like a coin, like a medium-sized coin. If you are in the US or Canada, about the size of a quarter. All right, so you're going to blow about a quarter size little shape on your hand. Now, typically, I find that these beginner model flutes tend to enjoy a shape that is not perfectly circular. You want it a little bean shaped. So just kind of squash the quarter a little bit, all right, and make a little squashed quarter shape on your hand with your hand about 6 inches away from your face. So we're going to blow with the same pressure that we did against the paper, that good in-between pressure. We're going to blow with that pressure, but we're going to create this shape on our hand. The hand is 6 inches away. Here we go. Yeah, and you should feel that the bulk of the air only hits the middle of your palm. All right. So now that you've done that for a bit, we're going to try it on the flute. On the head joint, again, let me do another nice uncomfortable close-up here. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to nestle the edge of the lip hole somewhere against your lip or your chin. Now, the reason why I say that is because everybody's lip size is different. I tend to have a pretty large lower lip, so you'll find that when I tuck it in, you can see that it's actually just a hair above the bottom of my bottom lip. Now, if you have thinner lips, you'll find that it'll feel like you're putting it down here. Also, I just wanted to tell you guys, if you want a mirrored version of this, I'll do it after this. Okay. So I'll give you guys a mirrored version of this. If you guys need to like look at me as if you're looking at a mirror, I'll do it right after. Okay. But just to show you guys how to do this, this is the tutorial portion of it. Okay. Okay. So you're going to nestle it. And if you look at where I'm nestling it right now, you'll see that it's like, I want to guesstimate, it feels like the edge of the embouchure hole is about 5 to 6 millimeters down from the top of my bottom lip. Something like that. Okay. Then what you're going to do is blow that focused airstream that we just practiced on our palm with the air pressure that we just did on the paper. You're going to blow that across the hole such that that stream of air gets cut in half by the outer edge of the lip hole, this part. So that means that you're going to end up angling your airstream down just a hair in order to do that. All right, so here we go. Now let's do it mirrored so that you guys can like just copy me exactly. Transform this. That's not, no. There we go. Use me as if I'm a mirror. All right. This is how you orientate the flute. Here we go. See that? It's like 5 to 6 millimeters down from the opening of my lips. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to tilt upwards so that you guys can see how big the opening is. Here we go. You guys could probably see that the opening between my lips was quite flat, and it was actually fairly small. I think a lot of people don't realize how small your embouchure actually is in order to play the flute. One of the most common issues I find is that a lot of people feel like they have to blow a ton of air into the flute, so they actually open up their lips far too much. But you got to think of it kind of like a garden hose. So if you think that you need to put in a whole bunch of like water through this hose, but if you open up the opening of the garden hose too far, what's going to happen to the water pressure is it will drop, right? It's going to get very, very low water pressure. And that's what's going to happen on the flute too. If you open your mouth too big, but the amount of air pressure coming out is not enough, that's actually going to essentially lower the air pressure of the airstream coming out of you. So that's why that lip, like my embouchure, is quite small. Now that we know how to blow into the flute, here are some really fun little drills that you can do. So what we just played more or less imitates middle register, maybe upper end of middle register notes. So you can also imitate low register notes. And what you'll find is that you don't have to blow as hard for low register notes. We're going to place our hand and cover entirely the bottom of the head joint. Here we go. And we're just going to blow the same way. Now we have imitated a higher note. We have imitated a lower note. Now we're going to imitate what it feels like to go between notes. Now I'm making this motion because that's actually what you're going to do. So here we go. Uncomfortable close up yet again, as we are still blowing the same stream of air. We're going to stick our finger into here. Now, some of you guys may have seen me teach my mom how to do this, and she got her finger joint stuck in the flute. Oh, it got stuck. Choose a finger that won't get stuck. Okay. All right. Now, what we're going to do is while we're blowing that stream of air, we're not going to stop the stream of air or anything. Okay. We are just going to keep blowing. But when you stick your finger from the outside all the way into the tube and then come out, you will hear it actually slide. So here we go. I'm going to tilt down so you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, I'm going to do it from the side. Now, a really fun exercise is to try and play Mary Had a Little Lamb with your finger at different points. So Mary Had a Little Lamb only really has like 3 notes to it. Like you can get away with playing only 3 notes. You can also do hot cross buns. So let's see if I can do it. I mean, it was a little out of tune, but like it's recognizable, right? It's recognizable. What we've done now is learned how to make a proper airstream into the flute. We have mimicked a higher note. We've mimicked a lower note. We have mimicked like sliding between notes, like changing notes. Now it's time to put the flute together. So here we go. I like to tip the body out like this, and then it's, you know, there's no keys over here, so you can grip the flute here. So again, I stick my finger here to lift it, and then I grip this because there are no keys. And then same idea, you can stick the tip of your finger into the foot joint, like the very end of the foot joint, to lift it, because again, there are no keys here. All right. Okay. So what I then suggest is to put the body and the foot joint together first. This was a trick that was taught to me. If you need a little bit more of a grip, you can put your thumb over this key here. So this is the C sharp key. Not that you really need to worry about that right now, but that's how I'm going to be referring to it. It's this key that is 1 from the end. All right. So here we go. Or that is 2 from the end. Okay, here we go. So while this hand is gripping the part that this is called the neck of the flute, while this hand is gripping here, this hand is gripping like this. And then what you're going to do is fit these joints together. Okay, so now you'll see that I put my hand on this side where there are no keys, because I only put my thumb there just to fit it together, and that's it. You don't want to be like sliding around and accidentally misaligning this key. So that's why I have moved my hand over to the very end of the foot joint. So here on this side, again, I have my hand where there are no keys, so I get a nice tight grip there. They do give you enough room here to get a pretty tight grip here as well. And then what you can do is kind of twist it to wherever is most comfortable for you. So a good starting point, just to kind of have a starting point, is to line up the rod right here. You see this rod right here? You can line that rod up, this little bulbous point of the rod, to be right in the middle of this last key. Now, if you have larger hands, you're going to find that this is way too cramped. So in that case, we're just going to turn this around so it looks more like you're looking at your own flute. Okay. And again, now I've just switched hands. So this hand is holding this part with no keys. This part is holding this part with no keys. All right. So if you find that this is too cramped because your hands are too big, then I recommend that you roll the foot joint up. So now you can see that that bulbous point of the rod is now lined up with kind of the top, around the top of the key. If you are a very whittle person like me, you're gonna want to probably have it closer to around there. So it's actually lower than the middle of the than the middle of this key here. You see that? So if you're really whittle, okay, then you can go like this. But a good starting point, just to kind of have one and test whether it's too cramped or you feel like you have to reach too far. Just a good starting point is to start in the middle and then take it from there. If you're too cramped, roll it out. If you feel like you're still reaching way too much, like maybe your pinky is super short or something, then feel free to roll the foot joint towards you. All right. So now that we have this, we're going to now hold, you can actually hold the entire flute or the bottom of this flute with just your hand on the neck. Okay, it is actually strong enough to do so. Holding the flute with just one arm like this can be a little bit like, oh no, I'm gonna drop the flute. So when I put the flute together, what I actually do is I put the foot joint against my body. So I actually lodge it straight into my belly like this. Okay, here you see that? Lodged into my belly. Okay. So now that it's nice and lodged into my belly, now I have 2 points here, and then now it's easy for me to put the flute together. So in some of my streams and stuff, what you'll see if I'm standing up, you'll see me actually like put it against my leg. I'll like kind of hike up my leg and put it against my leg, or I do just kind of put it into my belly here. Then I'm going to take the head joint here, also hold it right here, and then you can this is such an awkward angle for me, but here we go. Slide it in, and what you'll see me do is I'm not just jamming it in, I'm actually kind of like gently rotating it in. So I'm kind of like rotating it back and forth. See that? And that'll go in a lot smoother. You never want to just jam it in, just in case you're not getting it at the correct angle. You don't want to accidentally smash any part of the flute. If you're a beginner, do not worry about how much you need to pull out, pull in, push in, whatever. Who cares? Okay, if you're a beginner, push it all the way in, all right? You'll learn about intonation later. What has been taught to me is to line up the lip hole to your second key here. Technically, like I'm saying second key because it's the second key down. If you're a true beginner, that would make more sense to you. If you are not a beginner, it is the first key that your finger is on. So your finger doesn't actually go on this key. This key right here is actually an extension of this one. You see that when I press it, they both go down at the same time. See that? There we go. See that? The keys that come afterwards are kind of like perfectly level, right? So I like to use that. And now a lot of people say to line up the lip hole with that key. So you can use that as a starting point and see like, does this work for you? Now, what I will say is that if you are short-limbed, so if you are like me, I'm very, very short, all right? I legitimately look like a child playing the flute. So if you're very short, you have very short arms, what you may want to consider doing is actually rolling in quite far. So you want to line up the outer edge of your lip hole. You want to line that edge up, this edge. Line this edge up to the middle of this key. Okay, there we go. All right, so you will find that if you're just looking at the flute right now, you may not actually, actually you can kind of see that alignment. Yeah. You can see that alignment, that top edge is going down the middle of these keys here. Yeah, the top edge of the hole lining up to the middle. This is actually how I play the flute. This is not how you want to play the flute, though. If you have very long arms, you're going to find that this is going to be really, really cramped for you. And the reason is, actually, you always play, everyone plays with this most people play at this same-ish angle. In general, this lip hole is generally like parallel to the floor. So what that's going to mean is that if you have it lined up in this way, with this rolled inwards, the way you actually play is with the body joint facing outward a bit. So it's not perfectly level like this. It'll tilt outward a bit. What this does is it makes it so that your fingers don't have to come up and over the keys. If you are smaller limbed, you'll find that it's a lot easier to play like this with the facing outwards. Now, if you are quite tall or if you have large hands, you're going to find that this feels really cramped. You're going to feel like you're playing like this. So in that case, if you guys are taller, you have longer limbs, you have larger hands, in that case, I would play with the entire lip hole in line with the keys. Okay, so if you guys wanted to read more into that whole idea, that turned in position is called the Rockstro grip. And I'll leave a little link in the bottom by Terry McGee. It's a really great article about the Rockstro grip and why it's so useful if you need it. Not everyone needs it though. So in any case, we're going to now talk about where to put your fingers. We're mirrored now, so now you can just straight up copy me. Okay. So we have our flute out like this, all right? Now, have your flute up while you're doing this so you can follow along with me. So we're going to skip the first key. Going to put our left hand index finger on the first key. We're going to skip another key, put our finger there, and then our fourth key goes here. Our fourth finger goes here. And then that little lever, that is a key for your pinky. Your thumb is going to be operating the 2 keys in the back here. All right. Now, the right hand, what you want to do is count from the foot joint. So from the last key of the body, put your ring finger there. Then the next key up is middle finger. Next key up is index finger. And then your pinky is actually going to be operating all of these keys down here. All right. So that's where you put your fingers. Now, how do you actually hold up the flute? Because I'm certain that you're looking at me right now going like, how are you holding it up like that? Okay, so we'll start with the easy one, which is on the right hand. So on the right hand, what I usually tell my students to do is to put your hand up and make a number 4. So tuck your thumb in like you're putting up 4 fingers to say 4. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put those fingers onto the keys. So I'll try to show the flute. Put your finger on the keys, all right? And make sure that they are there. That kind of has like a nice natural curvature, all right? No claw, all right? But not completely flat, just a nice curvature, okay? And then you're going to extend your finger, extend your thumb, and then you're going to wear like essentially more or less underneath your index and your middle fingers. And then you're going to hold up the right side of the flute like that. Okay. I'm looking over on this side because that's essentially my large viewfinder. Okay. Now for your left hand, what you're going to do is you're essentially going to hold the flute up with the side of your finger. So this is the side of your index finger. You'll actually see that mine, I'll give you guys a nice uncomfortable close up. You'll see that mine actually has a very slight indentation in there, and that's just because I've been playing the flute for so long. I think it's actually like molded my hand now. So in general, what you're looking for is to place the flute against the sort of like fleshy part between your middle joint of your, the first middle joint of your index finger and the knuckle. So this little fleshy part on the side, that's where you want it to sit against the flute. All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to have that sitting there, and you're going to essentially feel like you have to hold up the flute. So you can see how if you have a small hand like mine, you see why the body has to roll forward a bit, is so that my fingers don't have to come up and over like this really unnaturally. So now with the keys closer to me, rolled out towards me, I can actually hold up the flute with my left hand here. All right, so let me re-rotate this so that it works a little better for me. You'll find that if you tuck it against your chin now, that it makes it even more stable. So you can hold it up like this and really nice and stable. Okay, now how do you orientate your torso though? All right, so let's say that I'm looking at my music here, right here. What a good starting point is to keep your head and the flute towards what you're looking at, your music, all right? But from there, you're going to turn, don't move your head, don't move your flute. You're going to turn your torso. So this works really well on a rolly chair. Turn your torso 45-degree angle to the right of what you're looking at, right? So again, starting from forward like this, turn like this, and you'll see that it immediately relaxes my shoulders. It gives me a lot more room to play around with. So different people have to kind of like turn their torso, you know, at different angles. Generally speaking, if the smaller you are, the further you're going to have to turn your torso in order to feel like you have enough room and enough arm to play the flute. If you are taller, you have longer limbs, you'll find that you don't have to put your torso all the way out 45-degree angle. You could do a slightly less angle just because your limbs are long enough to compensate for it. But starting at a 45-degree angle is a really good beginning point to figure out what's comfortable for you. So again, music in front, head facing forward, flute also facing forward, and then you're just going to turn your torso to be 45-degree angle to the right of what you're looking at, and now you're nice and comfortable. Okay, here we are. all together. Pausing here to note that this means that if you're sitting, you want to actually turn your chair 45-degree angle to the right of your music when you are facing your music. Otherwise, you could just sit your butt at a 45-degree angle, essentially having the right front corner of the chair sticking out between your legs. You will note that in some school bands that they force you to sit straight on. If I'm not incorrect, I believe this is because they're just following the aesthetics of marching band, which is to have your torso facing forward as well for the aesthetics. But for actual playing, that is not actually really good for your muscles, for your spine, for your shoulders. It's just not a great position to kind of twist yourself in. So if you are standing, make sure that you are standing with your torso and the whole bottom half of your body also facing 45-degree angle to the right of your music. So the only part of your body that is facing the music is your head. And I guess if you count the flute as part of your body, the flute is also facing the music. Back to your lesson. Let's teach you guys 3 fingerings so you can play something. All right, so let's have you guys learn B, A, and G. Okay, so let's start with G. Right hand pinky, and then we have the left hand ring, middle, index, and then on the other side, guys, on the other side, we are going to put down our thumb. Put your thumb here on this big key. So, this is actually a great way to show you guys. So here's what we're looking at here. So right hand pinky, then we have left hand ring, middle, index, and then our thumb is here. So if you guys wanted to kind of take a look at how this looks, feel free to take screenshots and to mimic what's going on here. Okay, so again, right pinky, left ring, middle, index, thumb. All right, and it's the big key, the big thumb key. Here we go. All right. So now we're going to lift the ring finger and keep everything the same. Everything else the same. This one is A. All right, now we're going to lift the middle finger too. This is B. Okay, now you have enough ingredients to play Mary Had a Little Lamb or Hot Cross Buns or anything that only uses those 3 notes. So let's start with Mary Had a Little Lamb. We're going to start with B and go down. And congratulations, you played your first song on the flute. Now it's time to put your flute away. I think what I'm going to do is find a cleaning cloth for this. I found one. This is likely going to be closer to what you guys will find. Because I don't want to use my normal one because I think it's just going to confuse you guys. But here we go. A lot of times you're going to find a cleaning cloth that looks very similar to this. It is just a soft piece of cloth. We're going to grab that cleaning rod again. So here we go. Here's our cleaning rod. Thread this in like this through the cleaning rod. And then we're going to flip the cloth over and then twist the rod a bit so that the whole thing is covered. And all you do, this is all you do. So we're going to do the reverse of what we did before. We're going to take the, put our hand on the neck of the flute, put our hand here, and then we're just going to rotate this off again. Here we go. Grip the flute on where there are no keys on the neck, right here with our hand. Don't smash your hand into the C sharp key, but it just gives you a slightly better grip. And then we're going to rotate the foot joint off. All right, cool. So now we're going to take our foot joint and we're just going to stuff our cleaning rod and cloth through, and that should be it. Like if you look through it, it should be completely dry. All right, so we'll put that off to the side. Then what we're gonna do is, again, put our hand on the neck here, other hand on the head joint, rotate them out, shimmy it out. And then same thing, again, hold the flute where there are no keys on the neck. We're going to put the cloth through with the cleaning rod, and that's it. It should be pretty dry. All right. So we're going to put that off to the side as well. This one is a little bit more interesting because this one, if you just put it in like this, you're not actually going to get into all of the nooks and crannies up on the top there. You're going to miss some spots. So what I like to do is to take a corner, put my finger under one of the corners like so, and then we are going to stuff that into the flute first. So stuff it in. And then we're going to take the rest of this and then we're going to just kind of keep stuffing it in there with our finger. So stuff it in there. All right, here we go. Keep stuffing, keep stuffing, keep stuffing. And then once we've stuffed it in a little ways like this, I like to then take my cleaning rod and then you can kind of like encourage it. So I like to sort of like nestle it in there somewhere and then push it through. So here we go. Let's see how I'm going to do this here. Might need to go under like this. There we go. Yeah, you guys can see that it's made all the way in. So you don't want to push too hard, but you just want to push a little bit until you can feel like it's not going through anymore. Once it has done that, it means that you have stuffed cloth all the way up in there. And then what you can do is then rotate your cleaning rod. I usually like to rotate it until I can see that the top part starts rotating. Yeah, so you can see it rotating now in there. Rotate, 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 rotate. You know, if you don't know how many times to do this, you can count like maybe 5 full rotations. That's actually already overdoing it. You could probably get away with 2 or 3. But all right, we've been doing this for a little while now. So we're going to now take out the whole thing. And then looking through it, it should be pretty darn clean. I think there's still a tiny bit left in there. So I'm just going to do it again really quickly. You're going to get the get it to be the most absorbent if you've kept it clean and you've washed it. So this is completely new and I have never washed this cloth before, so it may be contributing as to why it's not as absorbent as I want it to be. But that's pretty darn clean. That's pretty darn dry. So I think we're ready to put the flute back. So let's get our case. We're just going to move this off to the side and get our case. Here we go, getting our case. All right, and absolutely ruining the white balance of this, but that's okay. Okay, so what I like to do is I just like to put them back just in the correct orientation. It does not actually matter which piece you put in first. Generally speaking, if you are a beginner, it's better if you have this like nice big open space to put away your flute. A lot of people learn how to put away the flute in their lap when they're in band or something, but if you're a complete beginner, make sure you have a good amount of space so you can spread out. So, all right, let's start with our head joint. Head joint goes in first like so, and then foot joint. Now for this case, I know I need to nestle in the cleaning rod in the middle because one of the keys on the body overlays over it. Now, in general, what you can do is just close it, latch it, and you're done. That's it. Now, if you're like me though, and you are oily, I do highly recommend polishing it. So I have an old Flute Center polishing cloth. So I'll just show it with this because this is the type of polishing cloth I think most of you guys will end up encountering. So what I like to do, again, I'm just going to pick this up, and all you do is you very, very gently just kind of massage it, and you'll see that I'm actually rotating the head joint with my other hand as well. So there you go, already much shinier, much better. I'm just a super oily person, and if the oil in my skin stays on the flute for too long, it can, for my own flute, it actually, I think the acidic content in my sweat actually caused one of the rods to rust. So generally speaking, beginner model flutes are very hardy, and you generally don't have to worry about that. But if you are very oily and you know that you have high acid content in your sweat, your flute will thank you, and your flute technician will probably thank you if you just kind of very lightly wipe down the instrument. So you'll see that what I've done here is I'm again holding the neck where there's no keys, and then I'm just kind of taking the polishing cloth. I'm using my thumb to very gently, I'm not smashing into the keys, I'm just very gently rubbing over them. Super gentle, super gentle. I'm like pretty much like only putting enough pressure on them to like just hold the key closed. I'm not smashing it in. All right, so here we go. And then I very gently just wipe over the rods, and then I will massage the parts that don't have keys. And then this is a trick I learned from the Flute Center. At this point, you can grab the flute with your polishing cloth hand, take this side of the polishing cloth, and then you can kind of massage here, and this way you are only holding the flute with the polishing cloth, and then you won't get extra oily slick on there. And there we go. Nice and clean. So we're going to do the same thing for the foot joint. So here we go, again, holding the side that doesn't have keys. Same idea. Gently rub, very gentle rub against the mechanism. Not really rub, you're just kind of like running, very lightly running the polishing cloth over it. You can massage the tube that has no keys on it. And you don't have to worry about getting into all the nooks and crannies. That part will get cleaned at your annual maintenance. What they do is they take apart all of the keys, and then they actually dunk your flute into a solution and clean it for you. If you're curious about how that whole process goes, I have a whole other video dedicated just to that, so you guys can see what they do. But beyond what I showed you today, that's really all you have to do. You can blot your pads, but that's really not something that beginners need to worry about. That definitely is something that intermediate students need to start worrying about. But if you're true full beginner, this is all the cleaning you have to do. That's it. All right. So all you got to do now, close it, and that's it. Your flute is nice and safe, is clean, is ready to go for your next session. I hope you guys enjoy your new flute, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. So I'm editing the video right now, and I'm realizing I wanted to give you guys a bit of a treat for making it this far. Before we get to that, I do want to let you guys know that I have a code with the Flute Center. I've worked with the Flute Center since 2016, and it's been an amazing, wild ride. I've loved every moment. They've been extremely supportive of my career, and they've really allowed me to do a lot of things that I could not have done ever. I never thought that I would be able to review flutes for a living, and here I am. So anyway, there's a lot of perks that come with my code. I have it on the side here, so I'm just going to read them out for you. It is going to take me way too many takes to try and memorize them all and say them out to you. So without further ado, you can use my code JAF for 5% off qualifying accessories. For instrument purchases, you will get the following perks. You will get free shipping, a 10-day trial instead of 7 days, an 18-month warranty instead of 12 months, and you can take 3 instruments out on trial at a time. You can also get 10% off all of the sheet music that Flute Center sells as well. And without further ado, let me give you guys a little bit of a treat. This flute right here was the flute that I started on when I was 8 years old. Yeah, it's been a while, but she still plays. Her name is June because we got her in the month of June. And I thought that since you guys made it through your first lesson, I'll serenade you a little bit. This is the Genshin Impact main theme. I've been playing this game with my husband since it came out in 2020, and I've loved all of the beautiful flute music that shows up in it. And this is the first thing you hear when you open up the game. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and hope you guys enjoy your own flute. See you in the next video. Bye.